With time.
Did you read the task force report?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. In your speech at the House of Commons, you said, our government understands the complexity of legalization of cannabis. That is why we have taken a cautious, evidence-based approach. Also, you said again in the same speech, our government believes in an evidence-based policy. And then in a response to a question, you said, Bill C-45 is an evidence-based piece of legislation that seeks to put in a complex regime to legalize and strictly regulate cannabis in this country. In the task force report, page 12, we could, and I quote, however, we recognize that cannabis policy in its many dimensions lack comprehensive, high-quality research in many areas. On many issues throughout our discussion and deliberation, we have found that evidence is often non-existent, incomplete, or inconclusive. Being mindful of this limitation is imperative. It is more appropriate to refer our recommendations as evidence-informed rather than evidence-based. La question, comment pouvez-vous dire que...
My question is this. How can you say that your approach is evidence-based when the legislation is based on the task force's work, and in its very report, they say, do not use evidence-based. There is too much incomplete and incomprehensible information.
Note the substantive work that the task force did undertake in engaging with thousands of individuals across the country, looking at the experiences in other jurisdictions in the United States and in Europe. We are a government that is committed to evidence-based decision-making. And I will say at the outset of my answer that the status quo or the reality of cannabis and cannabis use in this country is simply not working. And we are committed to putting in place a legalized regime that is strictly regulated, as I've said many times, to keep it out of the hands of children and the proceeds out of the hands of criminals. We have benefited greatly from the task force report. We have ongoing working groups and meetings between and among my colleagues in the provinces and territories, and again have benefited from the experiences of other jurisdictions. And so we're proceeding on a basis of substantial information, experiences from other jurisdictions, and the reality that we know that young people in this country are, if not the highest, among the highest cannabis users in the world, and we can do better, and that is what this comprehensive framework that we're putting forward in Bill C-45 seeks to do.